Howdy folks, this is Zack Schnepf with photocascadia.com and welcome to another Photoshop video tutorial. I've been doing a lot of online Photoshop workshops lately, and one of the questions that always comes up is how I prepare images for the web. So let's jump right into it. So I have a file here, and this is actually a print file, so it's already been sharpened and that sort of thing. So the first step for me, this is a multi-layered image, is to go up to the layer and flatten image. Once the image is flattened, I go to the image menu, choose mode, and convert it to 8-bit from 16-bit. Once that's done, I'll head over to the edit menu and convert to profile. So we want to change it from a print space, a color space, which is ProPhoto RGB, to web color space, which is sRGB. And I just use the Adobe Engine relative color metric, and I select these, or I check these two boxes, black point, compensation, and dither. And then I hit OK. So now we're ready to start downsizing this image for the web. So the best way of doing this, and I highly recommend making an action out of all of this, but that's a whole nother tutorial. But that's the best way of doing this because this is a fairly repetitive task. So if you are making an action, the best way to downsize is using the Automate Fit Image engine here. Now I want my final pixel size to be 720 pixels on the longest side. So using this technique, we're actually going to double that, going 1440. And the way Fit Image works, you just are setting constraining values. So we just want to constrain the longest side. If it's a vertical, that'll be the vertical side, and if it's a horizontal, the horizontal side, to 1440 pixels. And then we hit OK. I'll blow this up to 100%. The reason I sized it down to double our target size, or our destination size, is because I want to do some sharpening in between the downsizing. And this topic, or this technique, was first introduced to me by Mark Adamus, and then I've done my own experimentation, and this is the technique that I've come up with. So I'll go into Sharpen, Smart Sharpen, and because this is already a sharpened image, it won't need quite as much. But the goal here is to have a slightly over-sharpened image. So somewhere in this range, for me, looks good for this particular image. So I'll hit OK. And again, that will vary for every image. But this looks good, so I'll hit OK. And the reason you're pre-sharpening here is because you're going to lose some of that sharpness when you res down. So this is just preemptively sharpening. So I'll go to Automate and Fit Image once again, and this time we'll set it for our target size, which is going to be 720 pixels in this particular case. You can use whatever values you want to use here. Then I'll hit OK, and you can see it's preserved the sharpness incredibly well. In fact, it's probably better than the preview looks here in Bridge. And that's great. This is exactly the way I want it to look on the web. So once this is done, we can head to the File menu, choose Save for Web and Devices. So once we're here, we want to use the JPEG engine here, and by varying the quality setting here, we can change the output size of this image. So if I wanted it larger, I could bump the quality up to 90 or 100, and you can see the file size goes up. But if you have a site that has size limitations, file size limitations, you can scale down the quality and you'll end up with a small sized file. I like to embed the color profile, and I also like to check the convert to sRGB just in case you forgot along the way. That's one reason I like to run an action, is so you don't forget all this stuff, or you can't. And then basically we're done here. So I'll hit save, and I have a particular folder where I dump all of these images that are ready for uploading to the web. And then I just hit save. And so we're basically done. There's just one more step. I want to close this file, and you want to make sure you don't save. You don't want to overwrite the original file. Again, another reason that building this into an action is a good idea, because then you can't make this mistake by accidentally saving it. So I'll hit don't save, and we're done. So that's how I prepare images for the web.